I am very excited today that we have Supervisor Jim Crozier from Orange County. He has been very generous with his time already with our association, with meeting out at Lake of the Woods and providing a meeting with our Public Policy Committee. And we were so impressed with Orange's efforts on broadband that we knew we had to get that message out to our wider membership. So we're going to go ahead and have Jim start in just a minute. But before we get there, I'm sure you can see my screen. We have a wonderful sponsor today, and I'm very pleased to introduce Pam Godfrey with Universal Title. Pam is a longtime FAR member, has also been very active, and currently serves as a governor on the Fredericksburg Realtors Foundation. So I know that Pam is no stranger to all of us. So Pam, thank you so much for being here, and thank you to Universal for sponsoring us.
Thanks, Kim. So yeah, I think I know a lot of you guys, but my name is Pam Godfrey. I'm with Universal Title in the Stafford office. And although my office is physically in Stafford, I do a lot of closings and work in the Orange area, a lot in Lake of the Woods, work with a lot of clients. So I'm very familiar with that area, and I'm out there a lot, and we can travel to do closings out there. I'm not going to make people that are closing in Orange come up to Stafford because nobody wants to get on 95. But just happy to be sponsoring this and looking forward to hearing what James has to say about the broadband issue out there. So thanks, everybody, and call me if you have any questions.
Thank you, Pam. And I'll ask while you're sitting there, if you wouldn't mind putting your contact information in the chat, so anybody who wants to lift it out of there can do that and get in touch with you. There certainly have been a lot of sales in Orange. It's been a busy 18 months out there. So Supervisor Crozier, thank you for being with us. And as I said before, I've just been really impressed with the effort that Orange has put in to expanding broadband. And I will note that it's significantly predated the pandemic. This was not a reaction to what happened in 2020. This was long-range planning by the county to accommodate the growing need for high-speed internet. So Supervisor Crozier, please take it away.
There we go. I had to unmute myself. Secondly, can you all see me or not?
Okay. Absolutely.
Very good. Now, one thing I am going to ask, and I'm not very tech savvy, can you all allow me to share my screen?
Yes, I can make that happen. Just give me one moment.
Okay.
Okay, so Jim, I made you a co-host, so you should have screen sharing ability. If it does not work, please let me know. I'm going to stop screen sharing so you can go ahead and do it.
Okay, let me see here where I'm at. Let me share content, share screen. Okay. I may not be tech savvy enough to accomplish this, but if you see my presentation come up there, let me know.
We don't see it yet, but even if we can't get it up on yours, you can always email it to me and I can share it from my screen.
Okay, let's do that real quick here then.
Yeah, I would be happy to do that.
Okay.
Well, and as everybody knows, broadband has been a focus for a long time for rural areas. And it seems like for many years, at least I think from a lot of agents' perspective, that it was kind of got pushed to the side. There were so many issues that folks were dealing with. I know one of our agents started saying probably 8 or 9 years ago that broadband was like lights and water, that homeowners walk in, they see the jack in the wall, they put it in and they think they're going to be able to get high-speed broadband, and they are shocked when they find out that the provider is Verizon Wireless or a satellite service that doesn't work when the wind blows. So this has been something that's been an issue in real estate for many years. We certainly saw price differentials on homes that don't have high-speed internet. You can have houses very similar in character, very similar in location, but one is wired and one is not, and you will see that price difference. So it definitely makes a huge impact for sellers. And And then obviously a big impact for people who live there. And
Okay.
this last year has certainly made it even more clear how vital broadband is to our everyday life.
Did
So
you get
I'm going
that?
to go ahead and share my screen. Can you see it?
Fantastic.
All right. You
All
just
right.
one to forward, and I'll go ahead and do that.
Okay, very good. One, I'd like to thank FAR and all of its members for allowing me to share information regarding our fiber project with you, because it's not always the easiest thing to navigate and fully understand what we are doing. Kim, if you go to the next slide. And I'm just going to read through a number of slides, and then we can have discussion as well as more information. Fiberlync is fiber internet service provider owned and operated by the Orange County Broadband Authority. The Broadband Authority was created April 26th of 2016. At that time, we thought we were going to be able to just put fiber in the ground and find an outside internet service provider. As you will see, that didn't happen. We were incorporated in June 8th, 2016, and we approved becoming an internet service provider May 5th of 2020. We applied to the state for some grants. We tried working with both electric utilities as well as other internet providers, and we weren't what they were looking for. They didn't feel that we had the numbers in order to make it profitable for them to pair with us. So what we did, we became, like I said, an internet service provider on May 5th of 2020. The Broadband Authority approved operating under the name Fiberlync August 24th, and it says 2021, but that was actually 2020. We went through everything that we had to do with the federal communication system and other state and federal agencies. And our rates were established on April 5th of 2021. And we connected our first paying customer on April 6th of this year. Next slide, Kim.
Jim, if I may, can I ask, just so I'm seeing that date of 2016, what was the impetus for the county to say, we want to take this action?
Plain and simple, we had, other than the towns and Lake of the Woods, we had spotty, very spotty internet service throughout the county. We had a large portion of the county that there was no internet service. Even trying to go satellite was not a good option, as well as the cost. I know for myself, I live over in the Mine Run area, and I had no internet, nothing. I couldn't do anything. We wanted our citizens to come into the present century, be able to get education for the children and adult education as well. And also, as many of you know, we've been working on the Germanna Wilderness area for many years. And one of the primary things was to be able to work, live, and play. And you're not going to be able to work if you don't have good internet service in today's world. So we were working on this back then, and we did get a grant for the school system. The school system actually got it. It was a $1 million grant to connect their facilities to each other. That's all that the grant did. It had a fiber connection between the schools. Around the same time, we were aware that we were going to have to put in a new communication system for our public safety. Our radio system was horrendous. The communications just wasn't there. So we have built 7 sites that are all connected by fiber that we added in. And as a benefit, we knew we could offer some limited fiber to our residents. And we were bound and determined that we needed to get it out so that all of our unserved and underserved residents could have fiber. And that is exactly how we started and how we started moving along. And we never had any intent of being the internet service provider. But the only way that we could get service to our residents was to become the ISP. So, okay, you want to go to the next slide? Real quickly, and I hate reading these things because everybody's sitting there reading them too, but our vision is Fiberlync will serve rural communities in Virginia where everyone has access to next generation broadband. Our mission, bringing affordable broadband service to our communities, one connection at a time, while enhancing overall quality of life and fostering economic development. The objective is to provide next generation broadband access at a reasonable price to the unserved and underserved areas of our rural community. Okay. We did set up a fairly, what I would say is a fairly nice price point for our subscribers. And let me just say right off the top, there are no additional taxes or fees other than what you actually see listed on this slide. And it's not an introductory rate. You know, it's not, you better sign up today or you're not going to have it tomorrow. We have 3 levels of residential service, and it ranges from 100 megabits download to 1,000 megabits download, and upload is 50 to 500. I will tell you, I have the basic service, and there are many times where we are watching Amazon Prime, watching Prime on our phones and using a computer, and I have no issues whatsoever. This is based, the tiers are based solely on the amount of internet usage that you're going to be doing in your home. If you've got husband and wife and 5 kids, and one of you, and the real estate agent is doing all the paperwork for sales, and all the kids are on their devices, and somebody else watching TV, you're going to need the middle service probably. A lot of people, probably the majority of people, have opted for our highest tier service because it is affordable. Even our highest tier is cheaper than most of your other services out there. Then there's the business service tiers that if you use tremendous amount of data, you can opt for those. And it's pretty self-explanatory. Now down at the bottom of that slide, you'll see where there's no data caps. We don't reduce your speed. We don't stop you at a certain amount of data used for the month. What you're paying for is the speed that you communicate on the internet. We don't care how much data you use. So you get that, a wireless router, and up to 1,000 feet from our fiber conduit, it's a $480 installation fee. That can either be paid up front, or it can be done in $20 installments for a 2-year period, at which time you would then have to sign a 2-year contract. Any questions at this point?
I have a quick question. So when I'm seeing up to 1,000 feet for installation, what if you do have a rural property that's isolated and has a real long driveway? How does that get factored into the cost of installation?
Okay, anything over 1,000 feet is currently $1.50 a foot additional cost. And when we sat down to come up with our fees, you have to come up with a standard fee. And just getting a crew out to a house and their equipment and unloading and everything, whether you're 10 feet or up to 1,000 feet, you're only talking about 15 minutes more, and the fiber going from the street to your house is a different type of a line than what we have in our conduit. So we came up with 1,000 feet being the reasonable price at $480. It's basically, if you're 10 feet, it's a $480. if up to 1,000 feet, it doesn't really cost us more. Once we reach that breakover point, then it's $1.50 a foot more for installation. And it can be paid for the exact same way.
Anybody else have questions? If you all do, please jump in. Okay.
Okay, next slide then. Okay, just some semi-interesting statistics. We've passed with our fiber conduit a total of 3,466 customers, possible subscribers. The subscribers that are connected and scheduled for connections as of October 1st were 1,605. Total route miles is 189 miles. And our current take rate, which is the number of people that are getting service that we have passed, is 46.3%. When we did our business model, we needed to be at 30% take rate. So we're extremely happy with where we're at. And currently, if you pre-register and fiber is available for you to connect, it's taking roughly 20 days to get connected. Okay. Next slide. And I'll just stop here for a couple of minutes as far as the slides go. We currently have 3 conduit installation crews working. We have 3 fiber installation crews, and then we have 3 in-home crews working. And the conduit installation is the construction project. The first fiber installation crews are the ones that go from the right-of-way where the conduit is up to your home or business and connect a box outside. We then have another crew that does the inside work of installing the fiber inside, connecting your router, and making sure everything is working before they leave. One of the reasons that we did this is plain and simple, and I know realtors are very cognizant of this. When you go into a home, the last thing you want to do is track dirt and mud and debris into anyone's home. That can make them mad faster than anything else. And customer service is our first and foremost concern. So by having a totally separate crew to do the interior work, they're not out tromping through the dirt and the grass and everything else. We have what I guess you would consider a US-based customer service line. They're out of Georgia. We have a company that everybody is here in the US. They're in Georgia. They're very experienced. And so it's one number to call for any issues that you have once you're connected. So that is how we've done all of that. Any questions at this point? Okay. As I said, we have been largely unsuccessful in receiving grants in the past. We did finally, at the beginning of this year, we did get one VATI grant, which is a Virginia Technology Initiative grant, which definitely assisted us, and we were able to put in more fiber. And one thing I skipped was we were able to leverage more fiber in the ground earlier when the pandemic came along and the school system, we had to have hotspots for the students. We were trying to get this moved along. We didn't know that the pandemic was going to come along, but fortunately we were already structured and moving ahead. So we leveraged some money through a grant to put in these hotspots at, I believe, 13 churches, county facilities, community centers, and fire stations. So that allowed us to put in more fiber. And we are constantly working every day, expanding. And I've got some maps a little bit later that you'll see where we're at and where we're headed. So with all of the new grant monies coming out of both the federal government, through the Department of Commerce and through the state, we have applied for a couple of new grants. One of them is actually what they consider a mega grant. And we did it in conjunction with Spotsylvania County and Greene County, mainly Spotsylvania, to get another 200 miles of construction at a cost of $27 million, with 24.3 of it coming from the Department of Commerce, and that would serve Orange, a good portion of Spotsylvania, and a small portion of Greene County, passing about 3,900 addresses with 1,800 people that are totally unserved. We would be connecting 41 Rapidan Service Authority critical sites, as well as completing the project within 12 months if we get the grant awarded to us, and that will be announced after November 29th. Okay, next one.
So just a quick question on that. So I'm looking
Yes.
at a statistic that says it's going to pass about 3,800 homes with 1,800 of those unserved. Do you expect your extremely competitive price point to lure some people away from their current providers?
That is a possibility. We are not in a competitive business. We are a broadband authority. There's only 2 current real broadband authorities in Virginia, us and one on the Eastern Shore. We have some restrictions that the commercial companies do not have. So we are not in competition with any of the commercial providers. However, if someone doesn't like what they're getting and what they're paying, and we happen to pass their house or business, if they have an interest, we are more than happy to connect them.
So I'm just curious, when you're talking about restrictions, are those restrictions on marketing and outreach? Like if you're about to lay fiber for the Route 15 corridor or something, do you alert all of those homeowners that this is going to be?
Yes.
How do they know to uptake your service?
Okay, everywhere that we have put fiber in, we have on our website a map as well as a list of streets that the fiber is available for. If someone is interested, they can go to our website and pre-register. When they pre-register, it will either tell them you can't pre-register at this point because we don't have fiber available, or thank you, please continue your pre-registration. And then at that point, they can move on, and it gives you instructions about how to actually become a customer and get connected.
Okay, one more question. Putting my
whatever, I'm as many as you need.
So we've got agents who are showing houses out in Orange from a couple up in Northern Virginia. And they say, okay, I love Orange County. I'm working from home. This is beautiful. I want to buy this little farmette. What's the internet like? How do the agents know what's covered, what's not, and what is the resource for agents to send to prospective clients who are interested in checking out that? Because I think that's really important when people go around, especially now. What's the internet? Who's the internet provider?
Yep, absolutely. And I just saw where Suzanne Brady asked if there's a map that people can go to see. There absolutely is. And Fiberlync.net, if I'm correct, I get all these addresses confused. I do have it in a later slide, but you can go to Fiberlync's website, and they do have a map that shows who has available service at this point, where we are moving forward with. You can absolutely call Fiberlync and ask them questions. We have a very energetic, very responsive team. Our broadband manager, Lewis Foster, is a man on fire. And he absolutely is. Man is up at 3 o'clock in the morning, sending emails and working to move the project forward.
He sounds like a realtor.
Yes. So, and I see that you just shared the link with everybody, which I greatly appreciate, because as I said before, I'm not the most, even though I am on the board of Fiberlync, I am not a tech savvy individual. So I really appreciate your help with this. we are moving forward at what is considered lightning speed for a fiber project. You just put up the map of the grant application for the Department of Commerce. And, feel free to share this PowerPoint with your members, Kim. That way they can look at it, after the fact and everything. But it's a little difficult to read because obviously everybody wants to see the whole thing. And on this particular format, it's difficult to see. But if you look at it, it shows.
I'm trying to make it bigger so you can see it, but it's hard.
Right. I apologize, but when you try to put 360 miles on a little computer screen, square miles on a little computer screen, makes it tough sometimes. But it is a large area because currently what I will call our southern end, which Orange County sits a little cattywampus to a north-south, but the southern end of the 522, that is our next major project area that we're going to be heading to. Those people need the internet within our county, and also that is getting along the Spotsylvania line so that we are poised to start construction should we get this grant. And the portions of Spotsylvania that we will be serving, provided we get this, are going to be the southern section of Spotsylvania County, tremendous amount of the area around Lake Anna, which obviously is a high price point area for real estate. And a lot of people really want internet down there. But our main focus and our focus from day one has been Orange County, and we will not pull crews from Orange County to do work in Spotsy and Green. We will get additional crews because first and foremost, this entire project is for the residents and the businesses of Orange County. So this is a map that everybody can take a better look at later, but it just gives you an idea of what we're looking at as far as the Department of Commerce grant.
Yeah, so I'll send out the slides to everybody once we're done here. But so my parents moved here from Connecticut, and they were shocked when they moved to Lake Anna and didn't have high-speed internet. It was a huge transitional challenge for them. So I feel like this is really a game changer for folks who have a full-time residence around that area, because it does make a huge difference.
Whether it's a full-time residence or even if it's their quote unquote vacation residence, it gives them the ability to, if they want to spend a month instead of 2 weeks, they can do their work, remotely, and it doesn't affect their lives in a negative way. And that is what this, in tandem with the Germanna Wilderness area, and I believe Mansour is still on here. I saw him earlier today on here. He may have gotten off. He is developing Twin Lake down on Route 3 right now. I believe it's a 318 unit adult living community. And we've worked on a contract with him to provide the fiber to that community. And it's very important because it allows people that are transitioning from their normal working life into a little older working life. They'll be able to move there and not miss a thing by being able to continue to have high-speed internet if they're coming from the Washington metro area especially.
Yeah, do you just want to talk for a moment about sort of how that impacts the marketing of that project? And Jim, I have a question for you about future planning of housing developments. But Mansour, if you want to talk about anything from your perspective, that has to be huge to be able to advertise a community as being fully wired, not just having the jack in the wall, but actually having the capacity to provide high-speed internet. If not, that's okay. I just saw you unmute before. I wanted to give you a chance to speak. Okay, there you go.
Okay, first of all, thank you for what you guys are doing. Let me make a comment before I go to this. Orange County is lucky last several years to have a board of supervisors who are very much forward thinking. This is not just the only thing you guys see that they are doing and nobody else even understands. They have planned for next 50 years for the Orange County. And I say all of the FAR agent, just check the website of Orange County and really see what is GWAP that Jimmy is mentioning as GWAP. You need to know what is going on. Yeah, actually, the subdivision I'm doing, I noticed that this is the best option anybody has, and from the start, we plan to make this available to all of the residents, and everybody is really happy.
Yeah, great. Thank you. I appreciate that. So Jim, just moving forward, when you're thinking about approving and citing new development, I imagine that, being able to expand this fiber network is going to be key for you all in looking at new developments.
Oh, absolutely. And part of what we're doing is, I think as many people are aware, currently the Wilderness Crossing rezoning is before us currently. And we're working through that. But one of the things that we're making sure of is in new development that either the HOA, the developer, in tandem with the county, that it is required that the conduit be put in the ground. We're actually working on a dig once policy for all new development in the Germanna Wilderness area, which truly takes all of your utilities, and fiber is a utility. I think everybody agrees with that at this point. So water, electric, sewer, gas, purple pipe, if we have an instance where we can use that, all of that will go under our dig once policy. And fiber the conduit is required in the GWAP in any new development. And there is no question it's a game changer. 5 years ago, most real estate agents I talked to, when they'd have clients come to Orange County, do you have internet? No. Well, it would have been nice, but they went ahead and looked anyway. Then it got about 3 years ago. Well, what else do you have to show us if you don't have internet? Now, and it's not just Orange County, it's everywhere. Do you have internet? No. Okay, I'm going elsewhere. Plain and simple. Especially since the pandemic, it is an absolute necessity. And plain and simple, people will not look. And I think if you talk to the agents that work in Orange, and based on the reports that we get from you, it's very obvious that our price points have gone up substantially with fiber. And let me throw in one more real quick word that I would really appreciate that FAR lobby for, and that is the lending caps for Orange County versus Spotsylvania, Stafford, the other areas. Whatever work you can do on that to get those up higher, it would be greatly appreciated. And I know it would help your people as well. But that is, right now, that honestly is probably our biggest challenge.
Right, those conforming loan limits can be quite challenging when you've got just over the border in Spotsylvania. It's considered the Northern Virginia area, and my gosh, those numbers can be very different. So remind me, does Orange fall in, like, is it on its own as like Caroline is, like a rural jurisdiction, or you function with? Yes. No, it's really hard, especially with the cost of houses increasing. Those conforming loan limits can be very limiting.
Absolutely.
Jurisdictions, yeah.
So I had to put that shameless plug in there real quick.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Yep.
Absolutely. And I have to say, honestly, I'm like getting chills thinking about a jurisdiction that's planning ahead really well by laying this kind of fiber. I feel that's not, usually we're talking about, okay, well, 20 years ago, we didn't plan ahead, so now we're playing catch up. And to hear about such forward thinking on something that's so critical is really, I think, music to a lot of folks' ears.
Fantastic. Just real quick, a lot of this stuff is boring, but and I think everybody's had time to, while we've been chatting, to look at the screen and see what's on that slide. So that's the Virginia Telecommunications Initiative grant that will be announced between mid-December and January. We're hopeful for that. None of this is guaranteed, but we are very, very hopeful that we can get either one or both of these. And if we were to get both of them, we would be, you're going to have to watch the roads when you're driving through Orange and Spotsy because of all the construction traffic. So fantastic. That's the slide for the VATI grant. Currently, just so that you know, what is in the, I will call it the lime green, is where all of our fiber currently is. That is what we have as the served areas. We currently do not serve the towns of Gordonsville or Orange or Lake of the Woods. There's always talks back and forth, and I know Lake of the Woods is working on what they're going to do. There is a possibility that we may go in there, but those are the areas we don't serve because all of them do have, even though sometimes it may be marginal, they do have internet service. Okay. And this is the section of Spotsy that VATI grant includes. As you can see, it goes down to the northern end of Lake Anna, and the Department of Commerce grant goes a little farther down in. But those are the unserved areas of Spotsylvania. Everything to the north, it has pretty darn good service in Spotsy, but we have an agreement between the boards of Orange, Spotsy, and Green on all of this. Okay. Here's the most important information. For Fiberlync, like I said, Lewis Foster is the broadband manager. The office phone number is 540-360-0998. You can contact Lewis in his email, but I would highly recommend for a faster response because, as I said, even though he's a man on fire, he's very, very busy. I would go to the Fiberlync website and go to one of those emails in the website. And the most important thing to remember is Fiberlync is spelled L-Y-N-C, not the other spellings. That's a problem that people run into sometimes. That pretty much covers my canned information. If people have any questions, I'm absolutely willing to field any questions people may have.
Yeah, well, y'all, I know I've dominated, so if anybody has questions, please feel free to, yeah, Michelle, go ahead.
Yes, very interesting. Thank you for the presentation. It seems like this magic box has been dropped in your lap that maybe you guys weren't expecting. And I have to imagine that other jurisdictions might be reaching out, interested in how you guys have set this up. Are you hearing from other jurisdictions? This is incredibly forward thinking.
Yes, we have been hearing from other jurisdictions actually for about 4 years now. I'm actually on the board of the Virginia Association of Counties, and we were looking at a different model than most places were back in 2016. Most places, and I know Spotsy's one, where you have these little dishes sticking out of pine trees and everything else for internet. Most places were looking at doing wireless, and that's how they wanted to get broadband to their citizens. We realized very early on, because King and Queen County was, I think, about the first county in the state to have county-wide internet, but they did it wirelessly. And what happened, and one of their chairman's a good friend, I've spoken with her many times, and they put in wireless internet to everybody. Well, when you have nothing, You're thankful to be able to check email when you get it. But the next thing you know, people want to start playing games, watching TV, all the streaming. Their wireless system became overwhelmed almost immediately. They are now in the process of going back to square one and running fiber throughout the county. We did not, and we had people tell us from day one, you don't know what you're doing. And they were 100% correct. We didn't know what we were doing, but we knew we needed to do something and get internet. So what we said was we want to go with the most state of the art that we possibly can so that we're not continually backtracking. Now, fiber, they still haven't come up with any reasonable thing that's better than the speed of light. So that's why we decided on the fiber backbone. Now, we have already changed a couple of times the equipment that we use. And as new equipment comes out, we use that. But the fiber is the game changer. You know, the equipment you can buy, and, you know, other than right now, you can't buy anything, it seems. You know, so we have other counties asking all the time, but we also had a different model in that we used the school's fiber backbone to start moving forward on our public communication system. So we did both public communication system and the school's fiber project to get us moving ahead. So in expanding our fiber project, we already had some critical infrastructure when we went out to do the commercial side of this. But we've had to put in node cabinets with generators and battery backups and just tons and tons of stuff. I've learned more about communications than I ever wanted to know. It is amazing. And so we have our basic thought process is that we will stay on the forefront of technology to provide this to our citizens. And we've been able to assist some of the other counties in ideas, but it's very difficult to follow our model because we had to put in the P25 radio system. We tied into the school system. All of this together, we have a fairly unique model. Okay.
All right, other questions for the supervisor? Well, I wondered if you could just touch briefly on, I think you talked to our public policy committee a little bit about this, that wilderness crossing project. We do not get involved in individual rezonings, but I remember that being an interesting project with potentially a lot of houses coming to Orange County, if I'm not mistaken. Would love to hear about that and you know, what that could mean for Orange County.
Well, it can be, once again, an absolute game changer for the county. About the time that we started talking about internet and fiber in the county, we were also engaged, it was quite honestly, it was when I was on the Economic Development Authority, before I was even on the board, that the board and the EDA and the Planning Commission started talking about the Germanna Wilderness Area Plan. We had a very contentious time where the western end of the county, there was great concern about, you know, phenomenal growth out there. The middle of the county wanted to stay pretty much like they were. And the east end, quite honestly, is almost an extension of your other metropolitan areas. So rather than just have rampant growth down there that was not planned or anything else, what we wanted to do was go ahead and plan the growth area of the county, which is a Germanna Wilderness Area Plan, which is 35 square miles of the county. And a good portion of that is already developed as far as Lake of the Woods. And if you were to take and look at a map, Wilderness Crossing covers almost the same identical acreage as Lake of the Woods does. It has different topographical challenges than Lake of the Woods. It is unique to itself, but I will tell you, the developer and their engineers and land use attorneys basically have mirrored exactly what we said we wanted for the Germanna Wilderness area, with high design standards, town center, shopping, the live, work, and play, educational facilities, park facilities, some industrial area. Now, I will tell you, we're still in very deep discussions as to exactly what the design standards will be, what park facilities there will be, what educational facilities, public use facilities, all of that. But that is what we're looking at. And I know that they do have a website, and I believe it is wildernesscrossing.org, I think is their website, that has their design standards on it, and as well as some other things. And we're looking at capping the total housing units over there, 5,000, 5,500, somewhere in that area. There's been groups putting out, quite honestly, nothing less than propaganda, saying that we're going to put 2,200 housing units down there, and that's not going to happen. That is not at all what we were looking at. So this is a mix of residential. Yes, that is it. Thank you, Kim. This is a mix of residential, commercial, industrial, and the residential is everything from apartments, adult living, senior living, up to and including upper scale, large acreage homes for that area. It is a planned community, and it will be governed by an HOA, with working with the county to make sure that all the services are covered, water, sewer. The road infrastructure currently is probably the most time-consuming issue that we have.
And I'm sorry, I think I missed that. What was the top level number of how many units residential?
And we're not in concrete yet,
Okay.
but somewhere around 5,500 plus or minus.
And that's over a 10-year period.
No, that's actually over a 30-year period of development. Yes. In order for us to have that much development in 10 years, that would be
a lot.
A lot. And just to put it in perspective, and it is a different type of community, but Lake of the Woods was just 50 years old last year. And they are just now reaching build out. I think they've got around 120, 130 lots that are not built on in there. So for people that are scared to death that, all of a sudden we're going to have this huge explosion of housing, you can look anywhere in the area and it's not an explosion. But we need housing for our retail and industrial type employees. We need housing for people across the board. So this is something that is very, very needed. And it provided everything continues in the direction that it's going, it will be a very beneficial community for Spotsy and Culpeper, as well as Orange. And first and foremost, we've always said that the Germanna Wilderness area should be an economic engine for the rest of the county as well. And the developers are absolutely doing that. And Mansour, obviously he's got other areas that he has been doing the exact same thing. But I know I am very excited about the prospects of Wilderness Crossing.
All right, that's exciting. Okay, any final questions for the supervisor before we say goodbye? This has been so informative, and I'm just so impressed every time I hear a little bit more about the projects, what y'all are doing out there. And I will offer that if you ever need letters of support or positive testimony from agents that work with folks who, look at this as a utility, we are more than happy to provide that. So
Fantastic. That's always appreciated.
yeah, wonderful.
Very
Well, thank you
important for
so
all of
much.
us.
Yeah, Supervisor Crozier, thank you for your time and attention. You've always been very generous with it. We are excited to work with you and to see such amazing work being done in Orange County. So with that, I think we're adjourned, and thank you all for your time this afternoon. I hope everybody has a great rest of their day.